Hello and welcome to our conversation about year-round home energy efficiency, where we are going to hear from Kansas City's 2nd District Councilman Dan Fowler, plus 5 experts who are in the know about what benefits can be brought to you when you need to save money on utility costs. While everyone joins up to catch this live event, we're going to take a few moments to recognize the people at Metropolitan Energy Center who have been working to get this information to you. Then, while we're still waiting for the last people to find their way here, we're going to highlight the good that is happening right here in Kansas City. Of course, in the past week, we've all had good reason to remember how important a smoothly running utility network is for our homes. We've all seen stories in the news about power outages that have been an inconvenience for some, but serious health risk to others right here in Kansas City. At Metro Energy Center, seeing the results of the extreme cold weather event in KC has added to our long-lived passion for making energy work better for people, better for health, for better affordability, better access to all, and of course, better sustainability for our children's children. So I'd like to take a moment to thank my coworkers, Brittany Giroux, Emily Wolf, and our executive director, Kelly Gilbert, for their support of this needed webinar. And I'd like to thank all of the speakers appearing today for being willing to sign on a Saturday to help spread the word about utility efficiencies. People need to know what they can do to improve things at home and citywide. I'm Joy Ellsworth, Development Manager at Metro Energy Center, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to our first panelist, a man who serves on the City Council of Kansas City, Missouri, as the representative of the 2nd Council District. He is here to share his story about when he first realized energy efficiency could make a difference and how he has seen energy efficiency initiatives help ease citywide problems. Please welcome Congressman Dan Fowler to our virtual stage.
Well, thank you, Joy. At the outset, I have to tell you, I'm not a congressman. I don't think I could handle Washington, D.C. I have enough trouble here in Kansas City.
Sorry, Dan.
I saw that in the script, but I kind of liked it, so I didn't say anything about it. But anyway, no, I want to thank everyone for participating this morning on a warm and balmy 25-degree Kansas City Saturday. That's cold, but isn't nearly as bad as we had last week, so I'm very grateful for it. The question is, when I first became aware of the fact that energy and energy conservation can make a difference, I have to say it dates back to high school. I was anything but an athlete in high school. I was on the debate squad. I'm totally a nerd, but I was on, and one of the topics we had one year was related to the environment. Now, it's been too long ago for me to remember much more about it than that's what the topic was. But at that point, I started thinking about a lot of things related to the environment and how we needed to have better air, have better water, and have more efficiency in most of our day-to-day systems, including specifically transportation. And that kind of stuck with me. And so I've been a casual observer for a number of years. And then when I got elected to the city council and I've served on the Transportation Infrastructure Committee for 4 years, that became a part of my everyday existence, was how are we improving our infrastructure in Kansas City? I am also active with the National League of Cities. And I served last year as chair of their Transportation and Infrastructure Services Committee. And we have moved from a discussion of primarily automobiles as a method of transportation to multimodal transportation, which means not only automobiles, but public transit, buses, around here, streetcar, light rail in other communities, fixed rail, however you want to term it, but also people-powered transportation, walking, biking, and then you get to motorized people power, as I will call it, electric bikes and electric scooters that we're seeing more and more around. And they're all very, very efficient ways of getting around, at least in from an energy standpoint. Now, Kansas City is a car city. Given our size, it's hard to be anything but that to a large degree, but there are areas of the city where we can economize and use public transit and alternative methods to get around. And we have slowly come around to that way of thinking. and that way of doing business in Kansas City in those areas where it works. And transition a little bit to that heightened awareness was something I just found out not too long ago, and I have to give big kudos to my colleague Heather Hall for raising this. And in a private conversation, she and Kevin O'Neill and I were talking about this, and she had been to a presentation where a group had said that we could save over $20 million of city funds if we could convert our light system, both in buildings and street lights, to LED lighting.
Yeah.
Now think of that, $20 million a year that we could save. Now, would it cost us to do it? Yeah, it would. But over long term, that pays off for the city. And some are even willing to finance it so that we use those savings to actually pay for the conversion. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a while. But right now we have requests for proposals out on the street, as they say, to begin the conversion of all of our lighting in Kansas City, both in buildings, public buildings, not private, but public buildings in Kansas City, or city-owned buildings, and our streetlight system to LED. And over long term, those efficiencies will pay off. This year, we're probably looking at something like a $60 million budget deficit. But if we had converted a year ago, we would not be looking. We'd be looking maybe $40 million a year because we would have saved 20. So that's something that we are in the process of proposing. Our city manager, Brian Platt, who's new to the city, is very creative, very innovative, and he's all over that. So we are continuing to proceed in that direction. Something else that people don't realize is that Kansas City is one of the most green cities in the country. We're not necessarily number one, but I'll bet you we're in the top 5. And what does that translate to? Energy efficiency, but also water conservation. And that has been a great focus of our city for the last several years, prompted primarily by what's called the Overflow Control Program. That's where the federal government came in a number of years ago and said, you're going to clean up your sewers and wastewater system. But by doing that, we have found that using green infrastructure can have that advantage at a much lower cost than using more traditional methods. Plus, one of the things that is part of that is to go around and decrease water usage. And that doesn't necessarily mean you go to any inconvenience in your homes, but what it does mean is that you look for leaks around your home and areas where water is being wasted. That saves you money and it saves the city money if we can plug those leaks, find out where they are, stop them, and it decreases the stress on our wastewater system, but certainly also our water system as a whole. Over the long term, that is a savings in terms of efficiency to the city as well. So I think I'll stop there. Those are kind of my comments, and there may be questions at the end of this I'd be happy to talk about, and other issues as they come up. But with that, Joy, I will turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Councilman Fowler. I did say that, didn't I? My goodness. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. It is good to know what the city is doing from a top level down to help energy use be more efficient all across the city.
Yeah, we have 2 congressmen in Kansas City. I like them both, and I'm not ready to replace either one of them.
My apologies. Yeah, with the next time around, I'm hoping that will be something I can get used to saying, Councilman. I'm going to let's hear now from our first energy efficiency expert of the day, someone who's not working at the city level, but somebody who's working at a regional level with Metro Energy Center. Brittany Giroux, my coworker, is an AmeriCorps Vista with Metro Energy. She helps us plan new programs that will help improve people's lives in the many places where their life intersects with energy use in America. Brittany, take it away.
Thanks so much for the introduction, Joy. Whew, need to get my words out. But I'm really happy to be here today to touch on a few key aspects of energy efficiency utility affordability, and comfortability in the home. So let's get started with the simple question, what is energy efficiency? I mean, it's a term that's thrown around a lot, but simply put, it's using less energy to perform the same task. We can see an example of this in real life when it comes to the light bulb. In the last 15 years, we've moved away from high energy heat generating incandescent bulbs to compact fluorescent lights, and then to the now LED light bulb. These are all designed to fit in the same old socket and do the same job, but LEDs use so much less energy. You can see on this chart here the comparison of each of the light bulbs, and the LED bulb outshines the rest as they, on average, last longer, they are cooler to touch, and they don't contain any mercury, which CFLs may contain. So energy efficiency not only applies to something as small as the light bulb, but it also applies to larger appliances in the home, like your furnace, your boiler, your stove, computer, a washer and dryer, and more. Each of these things in our homes use energy that we have to pay for, and there are ways to use less energy and use less money while doing that, and having the same amount of personal comfort. Now that's energy efficiency. On this chart here, we can see the comparison, now that we have the definition of energy efficiency down, let's take a look at where we're using energy in our homes and why our homes may not be as energy efficient as they could be. So this is a chart from the US Energy Information Administration, and this is data that they collect from their residential energy consumption survey that takes place every few years. And so this lets us know the most common forms of where energy is being used in our homes. And so a lot of that is being used for heating and cooling our homes, as well as heating our water. So heating your water for, your baths or your showers, or washing your hands, doing laundry. So that's where a lot of our energy is going towards in the home. I mean, everybody uses energy, but to some Kansas Cityans, the cost that they pay for their utilities is a real burden. By definition, being housing cost burden means that you're paying more than 30% of your monthly income on housing. And oftentimes, this does not include your utility costs. So on this slide here, you will see some information that's gathered from the American Council of, for Energy Efficient Economies. This is from a study done in 2016, and this is included in the Kansas City 5-year housing plan to show energy burden and household burden in the Kansas City metro area. Kansas City, Missouri is ranked 7th highest for energy spending as proportion of household income. So thinking about it, your energy burden is how much you're paying for utilities over what you're making in your income. And for those who are low income in our community, that burden can be even greater. On the right side of my screen, or left to you, you can see that some of our most vulnerable or low income households, they are facing household housing costs at a very, very high level. You can see 91% of renters and 76% of renters in that less than $20,000 category, they are housing cost burden. And that's a real issue that we are really needing to work on. So let's take a look now at some of the main causes of energy efficiency in our homes. Now, air leaks. Air leaks are a really, really big one. So thinking about your home's building envelope, think about it as a box. Whether you're in an apartment unit or a single family home, you've got the 4 corners, 4 sides, and top and bottom. If there are cracks, if there are leaks near the door or your windows, that is valuable air that's heated or cooled that's escaping. And that means your equipment's going to have to work a little bit harder to keep your home at a comfortable temperature. Old inefficient appliances, the older they are, the less efficient they are. Number 3, your water heater, as mentioned a couple slides back, a lot of energy goes towards heating our water. So if your water heater isn't insulated properly, that can be a source of energy inefficiency. Number 4, inefficient heating and cooling practices. So making sure that your temperature is at a good level and you're not wasting precious energy. And then number 5, phantom energy waste. So we all have some plugs in that we don't necessarily need to have in, or electronics we're not using. And this doesn't apply to things that absolutely need to be plugged in, such as medical equipment that needs to be on and all the time if you need it. So I'm not talking about that there, but there are absolutely things that are plugged in that maybe don't need to be. So couple energy efficiency tips for you. You can turn off the lights when you leave your home, properly set your thermostat temperature. So if you're not in your home, scale your thermostat back 7 to 10 degrees in the winter. The key number here from the EPA is about 68 degrees, and then 8 to 10 degrees up in the summer, around 78. Obviously, like if you're at home, then that's a little bit different. But when we were all out in the office and at work, sometimes we would not have our thermostats set properly. And one of the things that you can do is get a smart thermostat, which can monitor your energy use for you, which is awesome. And then in a couple slides, I'll show some pictures about applying window strips, air sealing air leaks with caulking, insulating your water heater, using a programmable thermostat, upgrading to energy efficient appliances or more energy efficient furnaces, and changing your lighting to LED bulbs. That's one of the easiest ways that you can start. And I know this was a lot of information thrown at you. So who can I call if I need help, if I need to digest this and take the first step? The city's home repair program will be starting back up in the spring. And so the number is here on this slide, so you can call to inquire when that will start back up. And then our local community action agencies, they have services in Platte County, Jackson County, Clay County. So go ahead and give them a call and see if you are eligible for a lot of their weatherization programs. And then Evergy or Spire. Definitely, if you're like me and you live in a large apartment complex, give them a call to see what can be done for energy efficiency kits or weatherization. So just a couple slides here, you can see someone using some insulation to seal some cracks near their sink, in their attic. Someone's using some caulking to get some gaps by their windows. Wouldn't necessarily tell you to go near an electrical outlet. We're not electricians, but just giving you an idea of where gaps and cracks are in the home. And this one of my favorites, if you're like me, you've definitely gone to Lowe's or Home Depot and picked up a 3M plastic insulation kit. You just get a hair dryer, pop that bad boy on there and use the hair dryer, and it's really good. So definitely one of my favorites. And then casement windows and awning windows, you can use some weather stripping to keep that cold air from entering your windows or cracks in your doors. And we're getting to the end here. Questions for your landlord. I know that a lot of these tips were for homeowners, but if you're like me and you live in an apartment complex, you might not have access to some of these things like your heating and cooling systems, your air filters. So this is kind of a starting point for you to engage with your landlord or your property management, asking them these questions about what kind of air filters do they have, how often do they change them, when was the last time they got their boilers or furnace checked, if they've received an energy audit within the last 5 years. This is a good place to start if they haven't been thinking about this already, especially since a lot of us are spending more time indoors. This is really important so we have healthy indoor living spaces. And so I am going to hand it back over to Joy so she can introduce our next panelist. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brittany. Hopefully everyone watching has already found at least one thing that they can do that would make a home more comfy, cozy, and affordable. If you have a question for the presenters, take a moment to type it into the chat panel and we will address as many questions as we can at the end of the presenter's speaking time. Now it's time to hear from our utility companies. Lamart Holman and Nick Newport represent Evergy and Spire, who provide electricity and natural gas to homes in Kansas City, Missouri. The people they work with every day at Evergy and Spire are the very people behind recovery efforts during weather emergencies, the people behind gas line and electrical grid improvements, and the people who support ways to help people be able to afford their utilities year after year. They're here to share with us some ways that both companies, independently and working together, are here to help you. Lamart, would you like to kick it off?
Fantastic. Thank you, Joy. I appreciate you asking us to come and join you this morning, and happy to be here. I do want to just say that not only are we excited about the fact that Spire and Evergy worked well together in terms of energy efficiency, I just want to remind you, the customers, that energy efficiency is a great opportunity, right? It focuses on, how we use technologies to conserve energy. But there's also another piece to that deal, and that's energy conservation. And that's where you come in by just changing your habits, turning down your thermostat, maybe wearing some extra clothes because you don't want to turn up the heat. And then maybe looking for ways just to turn off those lights for Evergy. See, I'm calling you guys out too as well. And just making sure that we are looking at our daily habits so that we can conserve energy. All right, that's my plug, and I'm sticking to it. All right, let's move on. So today I'm going to talk to you about our energy efficiency portfolio. We're very excited about what we do with our community. I want to talk to you a little bit about our mission. So one thing you should know is that we want to answer every challenge and advance every community and enrich every life through the strength of our energy. And let me just say that I know we are in the natural gas business, but we're also in the community service business. And so our team of employees work very diligently in the community by volunteering through nonprofit organizations, by making sure that we do have opportunities like this where we can get out and communicate our message and talk to you about all of our different programs. So we're very excited again to be here. Next slide, please. Okay, very good. One of the things, I'm sorry, let's go back one. One of the things you should know is that when our customers share concern about, maybe my equipment's not working properly, or I have some questions about what needs to be done around my house, the big question is, who should I call and who can I trust? So what we do have is a portion on our website called inspireenergy.com/find-contractor, right? We want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to have access to a directory that gives you a list of all the contractors that are familiar with our programs that we're going to discuss today, and that just know how to do a fabulous job. So again, inspireenergy.com/find-contractor will be a fantastic jumping off point to help you locate contractors that can help you with any of your needs. Next slide. So really quickly, let me talk to you a little bit about the breadth of our rebate program. So we do have rebates that will help with high energy efficiency water heaters, furnaces, boilers, thermostats. The goal is, how do we help customers transition from the old clunky items that you may have to the new hip energy efficiency items that can save on your utility bills? Again, inspireenergy.com/rebates is where you're going to find all the ins and outs of that. You can save up to $300 with rebates. And again, we're just hoping that you will take the opportunity to grab hold of those energy efficiency equipment pieces and get them installed in your home and then receive a rebate. All right, next slide. And then we've also recognized the fact, working with our contractors and customers alike, that, hey, there are some instances where most people aren't expecting equipment to fail, right? If your furnace goes out, you're not anticipating that, and most people don't have a budget set aside for furnaces that stop working all of a sudden. And so what we've learned is that our contractors we're looking for ways, along with our customers, to find some type of financing tool that will help when those kind of crises occur. And so we do have a energy-wise financing. It is an opportunity for customers to utilize up to $15,000. The current interest rate is 4.25%. And that's fantastic. I think it's fantastic for the customers, fantastic for the contractors. Again, if you know anyone that's interested in utilizing that piece, you want to reach out to our contractors through our directory, and you'll find that listing there, and they'll be happy to help you. You can pay it off on your bill at monthly, and within 7 years, have that thing done. If you pay it off early, that's great. So no penalties for any of that. So we're very excited about the energy-wise financing. Next slide. We also have a red tag program. Now, this program is income qualified. It is basically a grant up to $1,000 that will help an owner or renter, catch that, owner or renter, receive some additional funds that can help with equipment that has failed or replacement. We're very excited about this, and you can find this at spireenergy.com/agency dash assistance. I'm trying to get all the dash and the slashes together. Good grief. And keep in mind, these programs, you may not say, okay, I wouldn't qualify because of my income. But sometimes it's not about you. It's about the people that you know that could help. So whether it be through your churches or through community organizations that you work with or co-workers, make sure you get the word out and let folks know, because we don't want anybody to be cold. All right, next slide. The great news is that Spire and Evergy work together on a lot of efforts. And so one of the things we're very proud of is our low-income weatherization program. Now, the great thing about this, and I want you to get this, there's two numbers I need you to know. One is 0, and the other is 6,150. Okay. And the great thing about it is weatherization is a program that it works through our community action agencies. We have one here in Kansas City, and that number is posted on that slide. Want to make sure that you recognize it is income eligible, as well as the red tag piece. But I don't want you to say, oh my gosh, I don't know if I qualify. Just give them a call. They can walk you through it and let you know very quickly what that looks like. Again, this is a program for renters or homeowners. Now, going back to that 0, it costs nothing, right? The cost is nothing to the homeowner or to the renter. The second deal is that the improvement averages out over all the different homes that we work through to be about $6,150 in improvements. That's you can do a lot with that dough. And so we're very excited to work hand in hand with Spire and then the community action agencies. Again, this is an opportunity for folks to have their homes weatherized for free. So we want to make sure that you guys take that opportunity. Can we go back to the slide again? Also, dollar aid and dollar help are a great way to donate and pay it forward to help out your neighbors. And then, of course, Light Heat, which is a low-income home energy assistance program. And that program is designed to help customers meet any immediate home energy needs with their bills. So fantastic with all the efforts that Spire and Evergy are providing to help our community. Next slide. And with that, I'm going to turn it right over to my buddy, Nicholas Newport.
Thank you, Lamar. You always bring so much energy to this. It's really hard to follow. But just as Lamar was saying, Evergy does a lot in the community to get out there, help people live their life and live it safely and cost effectively. So our commitment is ensuring that you have choices to fit your lifestyle. We strive to make your experience with us effortless and fulfilling as we work alongside you to offer innovative solutions and meet your needs. Next slide. So touching more on, what Evergy and Spire do together, and really how to help you get some of that energy efficiency Dan Fowler was talking about, Brittany was talking about, and Lamar's been talking about. The first program is our Energy Savings Kit program. You can find it directly by going to evergy.com/kit. And what we actually do is a virtual assessment of your home. We walk through with you for about an hour, help you identify those air leakages, help you identify those light bulbs that could be replaced, help you identify a furnace that could be red tagged and get replaced. Actually, Sandy, one of our great energy efficiency professionals, just did that this week. So again, getting that instant savings, finding that information on what to do and where to begin, because there's a lot you can do, and having a little bit of help to get you started. While we're there, you see on the image there, we provide a package of low flow aerators and shower heads, cut down your water consumption, which cuts down your heating on your water. Again, this is whether you have natural gas from Spire or electricity from Evergy. Some light bulbs, cutting down on that energy is used there. And then Brittany touched on that phantom loads, unplugging things, turning them off at night. We have a smart power strip that'll actually do that for you. It's very, very effective. Brittany also mentioned if you're in a larger multifamily property, some of these programs are not very targeted for that, but we do co-deliver Spire and Evergy, our income eligible multifamily program, where we work with property management and come in and replace everybody's in that whole apartment complex's lights, shower heads, and aerators. Replace the lights in the common areas and outside, increasing safety and reducing bills, and just improving the quality of those apartment complexes for the tenants and everyone that's visiting. And then, we have rebates that we co-deliver, right? Spire's got rebates for the furnaces, Evergy's got rebates for your air conditioners, but we combine to do a rebate for insulation air sealing. Brittany touched on finding those gaps. We'll have the energy savings kit that's gonna help you identify them. But maybe you don't want to do it yourself, or you don't know how to do it yourself, and you're not eligible to have that $6,000 from income eligible weatherization. You can come have a contractor, Evergy.com, find a contractor, come in, insulate and air seal your house for you professionally and safely. And you get a rebate that's matched 50-50 by Evergy and Spire. It's really a great deal. Next slide, please. So, well, what if you want to do all that and you still don't have the money, but you're not quite eligible for weatherization? A great thing is, the financing program that Spire talked about, Lamar talked about, you can use for installation as well as the furnace. Again, doing that installation air sealing, and you get a great rate. You get the rebates to cut down that cost even more from Evergy and Spire. Just a great thing to do. Fantastic thing about installation air sealing is it lasts the lifetime of the home, right? You do this once and you get 20 years of comfort. And that's really, to me, the big thing is the comfort, right? On this really cold snap that we just had, and you're walking around your house and the floors are all cold because that draft is coming across it. You're not going to have that anymore, all right? You're just going to be much more comfortable. When you set your thermostat at 65, you're going to feel warm. Whereas if you set it at 68 now, you still feel cold because your walls are cold and that draft's coming across you, right? So that's a really big deal, getting that comfort, getting those energy savings, and doing it cost effectively with the help from whether it's weatherization agencies, Spire, and Evergy. Next slide, please. So we have lots of other programs too. You may be a very energy conscious person, and there are rates that can actually help you benefit from your behavior, right? If you are always thinking like, hey, I'm gonna run my dishwasher at night so it doesn't heat up my house, or run the laundry at night, do things like that, our time of use rates would be perfect for you. You should definitely explore that and reduce your bill that way. We have our online behavior tools. If you really want to know how you're using energy in your house, our energy analyzer can break it down hour by hour. You can see when you're running your appliances, when your air conditioner is kicking on. It's really neat stuff if you want to dig into it. Then we also send our home energy report out to help you understand how you're doing. You may be doing really well, but maybe you need a little assistance. So it's just a little reminder to conserve energy and find out about programs and help. I touched on the rebate for the air conditioners, heating and cooling rebate. You know, it costs a little bit more to go high efficiency. You know, when we have rebates that help take down that cost, make it more appealable for that first decision to save you energy over the next 10, 15 years of that equipment. One of the great ones, our home lighting discount. This one's fantastic, very effortless. You just go into your local store, hardware store, Walmart, you know, even Dollar Generals, and Evergy has pre-purchased a portion of these LED bulbs to bring that cost down for you. You'll see our Evergy logo on there. And it's really just cut down that cost of LEDs to make it just a no-brainer decision that this is the best bulb for me, and it's the lowest cost one there on the shelf. And then, you know, we're always trying to see what is next. What can we do to help our customers more? What can we do to save even more? And that's through our products and services incubator. We're currently running energy efficiency for nonprofits at shelters. You know, bringing you know, energy savings to those shelters so they can provide more money to housing and feeding the needy in the community. And then our Lilac group, that's really combining all these different efforts that the city's doing, that nonprofits are doing, Spire is doing, Evergy's doing. We're all getting together at a table talking about how we can bring them all together to serve our community even more. And next slide. You know, to learn more, there's lots of contact information on here, but one key thing I want you to know is you can find all this on evergy.com. You can find these specific resources at evergy.com/energy relief. And best of all, you can call our customer service hotline, find out about them all. They'll help you direct you to the right direction. And also you can go to our Connect store, 1701 Paseo, just south of I-70, and have some personal care to get you what you need.
All right, thank you so much, both of you, for bringing this information to us today. Again, for those watching from home, if you have a question about how these programs work, or you would like to know more in-depth information about one of the services presented here, go ahead and type your question into the chat box. And after the speakers' presentations, we will be addressing as many questions as we have time for. So make your voice heard by telling us in the chat box what you'd like to know. If you remember, one of the graphs that Brittany presented toward the beginning of her presentation showed the concept of energy burden, which is when proportionally you pay a bigger share of your income to energy costs than would be considered reasonable. Sometimes, even if you're doing everything right with your finances and your home efficiency, your energy costs are still way too high to handle. Let's find out more about the Light Heat program from Brittany, which helps thousands of households every year to keep the lights on, even when times are hard. I'm going to turn the floor back over to my coworker, Brittany Giroux, who is going to show those of us who need it how we can connect to a program called Light Heat. Brittany?
Great, thank you so much, Joy. So LIHEAP, the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, is essentially a federal program that distributes funds to folks who really need help with their heating and cooling. And so LIHEAP can help you in two ways. There is the Energy Assistance and Regular Heating, EA, and the Energy Crisis Intervention Program. And so Energy Assistance helps you with a one-time payment for your primary heating bills from November through March. And then the Energy Crisis Intervention Program helps pay your fuel bill when your energy is shut off or is threatened to be shut off. The amount of help you receive is based on the amount of money needed to settle your crisis with the energy provider. And it's always a good thing to, if you feel like you need assistance or are starting to get behind on your bills, definitely reach out to your energy providers and try to get some help before you know, it comes to that. So I'm pretty sure through all the things that we've talked about in the presentation today, a lot of people are willing to help. But if it does come to that, LIHEAP is definitely a resource that is available. And you can apply through your local community action agency. So that's just like a little bit about that, and that information on how to connect with your community action agency will be on one of the last slides here with contact information.
Thank you so much, Brittany.
Gonna hand it back to Joy.
I want to say to our viewers that if you're living alone on Social Security benefits, or if you work with Missouri DSS, you should consider signing up for the LIHEAP program because it's more than likely that you are eligible for it. Talk to someone at your local DSS office about this for a more streamlined, definitive experience. Now that we've talked about all the ways that we can save money on our electricity and natural gas bills while keeping our homes comfy, cozy, safe, and healthy, let's talk about one more utility bill that can trim down a little bit to benefit our household bottom line: water. Now, you may be asking, why are a bunch of energy people talking about how to save on water? Well, if you're on city water, then whenever you turn on a faucet in your home, that water uses electricity. Huge pumps at KCMO water department facilities have to work hard to get everyone's water pumped with decent back pressure all the way from their water sources to your home. When our home water systems are leaky, that costs everyone extra energy. Now, there are all sorts of environmental reasons why our drains don't need to be pulling down a whole bunch of unused water down into their systems too. And our next speaker might get into that a little, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and just hand the floor over to Ben Carpenter, who is here with us from Bridging the Gap. He's going to tell us about conserving water. Do we have Ben?
Sorry, I think I'm muted.
All right, that works.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you are good to go.
Great. Sorry about that. My name is Ben Carpenter, and I'm the program coordinator for Bridging the Gap's Leak Stoppers program. I am going to talk a little bit today about some of the work that we do around the city to help KC Water customers reduce their water usage and put a little bit of money back in their pockets. And actually, something on one of Brittany's slides seemed really kind of to make that connection between energy consumption and water use was looking at for buildings with 6 or 5 or more units, there was a significant chunk of energy consumption went into heating water. And so just one sort of thing I learned today about the importance of saving water in energy consumption. But anyway, so we are a new program this year, and we're let me tell you, it's been a really interesting year to jump to something new, as I'm sure a few of you are aware. But essentially, Leak Stoppers is a partnership between KC Water and Bridging the Gap. It's focused on sort of these twin goals of water conservation and helping people reduce their monthly water bills. And we do this primarily through 3 different initiatives that I'll talk about in a second. First, the installation of water-saving devices in the bathrooms and kitchens, the replacement of toilets that were manufactured before 1994, and then finally, the general leak repairs in exposed service lines, often in the basement. If we do next slide. So first, just a little bit of background. As I'm sure many of you are aware, the water bills in KCMO have really skyrocketed over the last 10 years especially. The average KC Water customer pays around $104 per month for water and wastewater services. And this is in part why Leak Stoppers looks to ameliorate kind of consumption issues through on the basis of individual households, because we really want to put more of that money in savings kind of back into residents' pockets. In particular, we talked to residents about usage in the bathrooms, which generally accounts for more than half of total household water consumption. Toilets and older toilets in particular by themselves can account for almost a quarter of all household usage of water, which is pretty significant, and makes these points of interest in our home visits that we conduct. And I'll talk about that again in a second. Next slide, please. So just for a little, I'm sorry about that. I don't know why that text is bright blue. Extremely easy to read. I apologize. But just for some additional context regarding the impact of even small leaks over time, this chart shows how something like a continuously dripping faucet can make a really big impact over the course of the year. So something, a sink that drips 5 times in 30 seconds, for example, can waste up to 347 gallons a year. A sink in your bathroom dripping 15 times in 30 seconds can waste up to 1,000 gallons a year, which is roughly the equivalent of a small swimming pool. In a more severe leak, 30 drips in 30 seconds can waste 2,000 gallons of water a year. And as you can imagine, this kind of thing can really ramp up customers' bill. Not to mention represents a waste of a really precious resource, water, but then obviously the energy that it takes to manage that resource. We don't just look at running faucets. Drips are by far and away the least of the worries that we talk about with residents. We look at other sources of water waste as well. Toilet flappers, again, going back to that toilet, looking at the continuously running toilets, or sometimes people talk about ghost flushes, can also be significant sources of wastewater, and we can really only identify these issues by going into homes. And so our process looks a little bit like this. Residents can either call up or sign up online at leakstopperskc.com. That information is going to be at the end. And from there, they're directed to a registration page where they tell us a little bit about how many people live in the home, how many bathrooms they have, any problems they're already sort of aware of, like, again, leaky faucets or dripping pipes in the basement. And from there, we can schedule a home visit where one of our technicians go to the home, and we'll do a little leak assessment. We'll walk around the home with them. And during this sort of visit, the tech will install the water saving devices while kind of talking with the resident about other ways they can manage their water consumption. While we're there, we'll also check on the age of the toilet and do a visual inspection of exposed pipes, again, usually in the basement. But our conservation kits tend to be the most popular aspect of the program so far. And it's been these water conservation kits that end up saving residents $10 to $20 a month on their bill. And again, everything that we do is totally free to the customer. And just kind of looking at some of the things that we do include, we have sink faucet aerators, which, for those of you who don't know, just sort of mix air into the water to create a steady stream of water. We have high efficiency shower heads, which this one in particular uses about 1.5 gallons per minute, which is 40% more efficient than a standard shower head. We go into some homes where if there's no shower head at all, and it's just a bare pipe shooting water, and so this one, it really helps reduce quite a bit of usage there. This blue thing over here, it's a toilet tank bank, and a lot of you might be familiar with that concept, where you fill it up. It's basically a bladder that you fill up with water. It holds about 1 gallon of water, and you stick it on the inside of the tank, and it displaces just about 1 gallon of water, and you're using that much less per flush. Some people put bricks in the back of their toilet. Some people put 2-liter bottles of soda filled with water. Again, you're just trying to reduce the amount of water in that tank. This orange thing that looks kind of like a comb, this is called a toilet fill cycle diverter, and that device goes on the inside of the tank and diverts some of the water that would normally fill the bowl into the tank. The idea is that when you flush the toilet, the bowl and the tank fill at the same time, but the bowl ends up filling totally first, and so the water will continue to run until the tank's full. That little orange device just makes sure that the water doesn't run quite as long by filling the tank faster. So while installing the devices, we also conduct tests of the toilet to determine if the flapper is sealing properly or not. This is done by dropping a little blue dye tablet in the tank and seeing if anything appears in the bowl. And sometimes these leaks are very minute, and the resident hasn't even noticed that ghost flush. However, as I was talking about earlier, even a minorly leaking toilet flapper can really add up on the water bill over time, sometimes up to 6,000 gallons a month. So we'll swap out the flappers as well. Our toilet replacement program, so those were the conservation kits. This is sort of that second prong in our three-pronged approach. While toilets account for up to 1/4 of total household usage, not all toilets are made equal. A lot of modern toilets, those from 1994 and later, generally use about 1 gallon to 1.5 gallons of water per flush, whereas those from before 1994 can use anywhere from 5 to 7 gallons of flush. So there's 5 to 6 gallon difference between modern and older toilets, which is a really significant difference, obviously, especially in larger households with lots more residents. So we determine the age of the toilet by locating the date of manufacture. And here's a little bit of trivia for everyone. You can go out and use in your own homes, the data manufacturer is always stamped in the porcelain on the inside of the tank of all toilets. Whether it's stamped correctly, is something we definitely run into. But if the resident's toilet is found to be from 1994 or earlier, we produce a work ticket for a plumber that we have on contract, LMG Contracting Services, and the plumber takes it from there, setting up an appointment and completing the work alongside the resident. Again, it's totally free to the customer, and this is a similar process that we have to our complex leak repair program, which is that third prong. I don't have a slide for that one, but it's similarly, we'll be doing these home assessments, and we're going to identify leaks in service lines, often in the basement, sometimes in the walls, and assess kind of what work needs to be done with the plumber. We work with the resident to figure out what the problem is, and then sort of how to best approach that solution. And our plumber can do it. They're great people, and they've done a lot of good work so far. So that's kind of it. So that's Leak Stoppers. Again, we're a brand new program. Go to leakstopperskc.com for more information. Yeah, I'll be around if anybody has any questions.
All right. Thank you so much for this information, Ben. Let's take a moment now to double back on a few other contact numbers so that you can take next steps in whichever way forward would help you conserve energy in a way that is meaningful and saves you money. If you need any other contact information that was presented before and missed it, visit our website, metroenergy.org/energy saving contacts with no spaces. And of course, you can always call us at Metro Energy Center. We are glad to help. Now let's take a moment and answer some of our audience questions, which we only have time for about 2. Councilman Fowler, the first question actually is for you. What is the latest step you have taken in your own home to keep it energy efficient, and have you noticed any difference?
Well, yeah, several things that I've done actually over a period of time. First thing when I bought this house was about 2004, I think. There was a programmable thermostat that was on sale somewhere, and I got it. And that really has worked very, very well. At night, the temperature automatically goes down to what I consider a good sleeping level. It comes up when I get up in the morning, and then goes down when I'm generally not here. So that's worked very well. As light bulbs have gone out over a period of time, I replaced them with LED. And I don't think I have any incandescents left in the house. That's been a savings. And then the others, the major things I've done in the last couple of years were certainly not voluntary. That's what happens when your air conditioner goes out on the hottest day of the summer, which happened on July 1, 2019. So I had to replace the air conditioning unit. That was a really uncomfortable night. And then a few months later, it was starting to get cold and the furnace went out. So I ended up replacing both of those. I'm happy to say that, apropos to what Ben was talking about, I now have low flow toilets in the house because in the process of trying to replace or fix the old 5-gallon tankers that I had when I moved in, I broke them. And that's because I'm klutz. So I had to replace them. You can't find those tanks are illegal in this country anymore. You can't find them. So anyway, but all of that's worked out very, very well.
Did you notice any difference?
Yes, Evergy puts out a comparison of you versus your neighbors. I think we get it about monthly. It shows where you are in comparison to your average neighbors, your efficient neighbors, and where you are. And I am consistently in the most efficient category. I am more efficient than something like 95% of my neighbors or something like that. So it's now there's probably a lot of other factors go into it. You know, I'm not married. My daughter is moved out of the house. I don't have kids running around. You know, I'm the only person that uses the water around here, the electricity. So that probably contributes a great deal. One thing I would remiss, and I don't want to take all of your time, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about. I'm chairman of the city's housing department. or housing committee, council housing committee. One of the things that goes into the cost of housing is energy cost. And it's sometimes I've run into circumstances where it exceeded the rent. We cannot have affordable housing in this city if we don't have affordable housing to go along, or affordable energy use to go along with it. And I could go into a long diatribe about how I ran onto that, but with somebody spending $600 a month to pay their energy bill when they're in a subsidized apartment because of a landlord that didn't care, that's just wrong. And in that particular instance, I'm happy to say that we have so far been able to remedy that. But that is an issue that needs to be addressed. There are three things that go into housing costs. One is your rent, second, utilities, and then third is transportation. If you live in a place where you can't get transportation to your job, that housing is not affordable for you. So anyway, those are my thoughts. But yeah, like I said, I have a high efficiency hot water heater too. Why? Because the prior one broke. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Councilman Fowler.
Dan's good, thank you.
Boy, I just mixed the word Dan and councilman. That was really awesome. And it's good to know that people at the city level understand, what exactly goes into making people's housing situations not really affordable. I think we have one more question for the utilities regarding last week's extreme weather and the havoc that it played on our energy, or the energy grid. What is the one biggest thing that the utility company had to do to keep people's homes heated? Nick or Lamar, would you guys, one of you, like to take that one, or both?
Sure.
Go ahead, Lamar.
Sure. I would say one of the biggest thing is to get the word out about energy efficiency and energy conservation, right? And the conversation that we're having today is huge for folks to be able to do some things around the house that can quickly make some adjustments on their utility bill and help conserve energy, not only for themselves, but for the community at large. So we talked about a lot of those items. So I would just say, keep in mind, in forefront of your mind, what you can do as a part of the community to help out in this effort. And I think we've given a long list. And then the second thing I would say is to participate in the programs. We listed a lot of great programs. So participate in them and spread the word so your neighbors can as well. And I think that will make a huge impact.
All right, Nick, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would just second Lamar. Again, with electricity, we were following best practices from the Southwest Power Pool, asking for that conservation as needed, and doing everything we could to keep the grid stabilized across the whole middle of the country.
Yeah. All right. Thank you both. As we close out this webinar, I'd like to thank all of our guest speakers for bringing such valuable insight to our gathering. If you at home are interested in taking action to help improve the way everyone accesses clean energy, reach out to me at Metro Energy Center. My information is on the screen here, or on the next screen, if we can have the next slide. And I would love to hear from you if you're interested in volunteering your time and efforts in support of what we do at Metro Energy Center. In this time where safe action needs to be taken to make the world into a better place, you may feel led to volunteer with one of the other organizations featured on today's broadcast, like Bridging the Gap. Please reach out to anyone who is on this presentation, and let's all make the world a better place. Thank you so much for attending this conversation. Stay healthy, stay safe, and keep on caring, KC. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.